Welcome back to Amerisogyny. I'm your host, Hannah Blue. You're listening to episode 78, What You Do for Others. Hey, my listeners, I'm back. And where have I been? Finishing up the 2 sci-fi series I wrote, Platarius, books 1, 2, and 3, and Codarius, books 1 and 2. That's right. All 5 have been published, and Platarius 1 and 2 are available for sale right now. For today's episode, we're not traveling around the world. We're going to stay right here in the U.S. and talk about some things. I do have an advocacy story at the end of the episode, but nothing heavy, because I think most of our mental health is fragile, and we all know why. I absolutely refuse to talk about them today. It's already bad enough. We have to wake up every day and hear news about them. So guys and gals and non-binary folks, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know this is a podcast about advocacy and mental health. And I'll be very honest with you. Since January 20th, my mental health has been laid very low. But little sparks of joy kickstarted it into gear again. I received 2 more amazing reviews of Platarius 1 and some much needed inspiration from Duchess Meghan Sussex. When I tell you her show With Love, Meghan was a balm for my soul, it was. And apparently it did the trick for ladies all around the world. You want to talk inspirational? Women are still baking her honey lemon cake and serving up the 1-pan spaghetti and arranging flowers as if America was throwing the biggest parade ever. We might get that chance if you know, you know. Anywho, let's get on to Mrs. Sussex and talk about her show. Now, I'm giving you the things I loved about all the episodes. Let's jump right into it. In episode 1, I was very impressed with her bees. That's right. She collects her own honey. She took the honey and made a fabulous honey lemon cake we can't get enough of. And that wasn't all. She melted down beeswax and made candles with her friend. And again, we have to bring up that 1-pan spaghetti that looked absolutely beautiful. And of course, her cookware was top tier. And a whole slew of sisters on Threads were showing off their collections too. This is what I mean when I talk about women inspiring women and women supporting women. Now, Meghan's haters tried to tank her show, but it didn't work. Netflix renewed it for another season. And when we saw all of those undeserved, nasty reviews about her show, women around the world rallied around her, especially Black women. We flew to give her good reviews because she deserved them. Her show was the best I've seen in the last 20 years. It was so calming, so peaceful. And the best part? Seeing women of all races, all ages, showing off what they cooked and baked. Meghan did something so incredible. Right now, with the dumpster fire America is in, she united women around the globe just by being kind and serving up a love language as old as Nefertiti and Akhenaten, making sure people ate well, and we love her for it. In episode 2, she made a gorgeous and colorful bower of balloons, and we got to see her version of a kid's birthday party in a garden. And what a beautiful garden she has. Absolutely fabulous. She also made a frittata, and we learned she makes her own jams and preserves. Now, what got me was the cute little ladybug crostinis and tulip toast. Everything she made was so pretty. In episode 3, she had a cute Korean chef Chef Roy Choi. And they made kimchi and Korean fried chicken, along with some interesting sauces, Korean crying tiger sauce and soy ginger sauce. Now, before he arrived, she made homemade donuts with little edible flour sprinkles. Those were the classiest donuts I've ever seen, and they looked so yummy. And by the way, ladies, so did he. He was all tatted up and smiling. You guys know how I get down. On to episode 4. Her friend, Delphina Blackier, I think I'm saying that right, is quite a tall one, and she's so pretty. That skin was glowing, okay? Meghan also showed us how to make sun tea. And as she described it, it's just tea sitting in the sun. She had these cute little silk bags and all kinds of dried leaves and things to make the tea. Meghan inspired women to show off their teapot collections. And there's one lady on Threads who I have to talk about. Her collection is so dope. I got her permission to talk about her beautiful teapots. She has one with polka dots and sunflowers. And she said her boss gave her a stunning black one from the Philippines. But my favorite was the blue and white kitty. Oh my God, it's so pretty. Now, why is that significant? Women showing off their cooking sets and their teapots. It boils down to one thing. The hate Meghan received for having nice things was ridiculous. People said they couldn't relate to her, but they had no problem relating to Martha Stewart. So all of these ladies came out of the woodworks to show, no, she is relatable. Look, I have cooking sets too. Look, I have teapots too. We have nice things too. And I'm so glad we all stood up and supported her. People really have no reason to hate this woman. They hate her because she's living well. And we all know living well is the best revenge. Let's move on to episode 5. She had 2 friends over, and the highlight of this episode was her baking fish in salt. And man, let me tell you, that crudité platter was everything. And I loved the flowers that she froze in ice cubes for drink decorations. Mind-blowing. Meghan said she never lets guests arrive without something on the table. Now that's a good friend to have. On to episode 6. And she had another cute chef who came to visit. His name was Chef Ramon Velasquez. Meghan hosted a game night with friends and wanted to have a taco bar. So she made plantain chips, chicken tinga tacos, and a few other yummy delights. The Duchess also dehydrates citrus fruit and made palomas and margaritas. I was surprised when she said she never thought about having a cookbook. Listen, I hate cooking, but if she ever releases one, I'm buying it. Moving on to episode 7. She invited her friend Vicky over to make pot stickers and natural face masks. I loved when she said something very poignant. She said, for anyone who's been through something, you're not broken. It can be fixed. It can be sealed and healed. And she gave Vicky the credit for inspiring her. Now, I know some ladies can relate to this. A lot of women don't have the circle of friends she has. And that's fine. I'm one of them. I have a few close friends who speak life into me, and I speak life into them. And if that's you, cherish them. Don't feel bad about that, because genuine friends are hard to find. You don't have to have an entire army of people around you to feel and to be worthy. If you're good to your friends, and they're good to you, that's all that matters. Now we've reached the final episode. Episode 8. Her guest was Alice Waters. They made pesto and tomato quiche, salad, and these cute little cookies with flowers sprinkled on top. We got to see the Duke Harry, her husband, and her beautiful mom, and all of their wonderful friends who support them. And they deserve it. They're a beautiful couple. And her handwriting is just as beautiful as her face and personality. I am so looking forward to season 2 when it airs. Now, I'm going to watch her show again right before I cancel Netflix because Netflix is tripping. My bill went from $14 something to $19.20. And let me tell you, it's not worth it. They haven't released a good K-drama since When the Phone Rings. So I'm divorcing them and marrying Vicky. Then I'll get to see all my K-dramas when I want to. That's all for the Duchess, her cooking, and her crew. Let's move on to something near and dear to my heart, indie publishing. In episode 77, I shouted out a few female indie authors. Now it's the men's turn. Let's talk about some great indie authors and their books. And since I write science fiction, let's talk about that genre first. Our first author is such a delight to talk to. He came out of the blue and found me on social media. What a sparkling personality he has. His name is Tito Martinez Barberry. He says the emphasis is on the bar. All right, Tito. So what has Tito accomplished? Let's find out. Tito hails from Mexico City. Shout out to our listeners in Mexico. Tito says he's an award-winning author and he spent many years as a copywriter and translator. He said his hyper-imagination inspired him to write his series, The Keeper of the Balance. Now let's talk about these books. A cool thing about Tito, he writes in English and Spanish. The first book in his series is called The Pinnacle of Power. Book 2 is The Warriors of Balance. Book 3 is The Order of the Ancestors. Tito's author page states that Book 3 was chosen as the best dystopian book in the 2016 Summer Indie Awards. Book 4 is called The Last Bastion. And those are all the books in his Keeper of the Balance series. And what does Tito want you to know? He says, well, all I can say is that my series is a thrilling ride full of intrigue, twists, and turns, and a lot of action with a little romance thrown in for good measure. All right, Tito. Sounds good to me. Our second sci-fi author is Adam Bassett. Now, he has 2 standalone books. The first, Digital Extremities, is a collection of 8 stories that shines a spotlight on ordinary people and a callous, yet sometimes hopeful future. Set across small towns and remote islands where neon flickers against old buildings and oaks, this collection paints a unique view of a traditionally cyberpunk setting. His second book, Animus Paradox, is a cyberpunk thriller that begins after what happened in Digital Extremities. But, according to Adam, it's a standalone novel. David and Malfada de Campo are private investigators who have been hired to help find a thief. They're motivated by money. And when things take an unexpected turn, the de Campos must decide how far they're willing to go to get the job done. Both books are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org, Campfire, Kobo, and more. Now that's all for the science fiction authors. Let's move on to a couple of books I know very well. This next author writes horror, Luke Geldmacher. His writing style reminds me of 2 of my favorite authors, Dean Koontz and John Saul. His first book is called Blood on the Snow. Now this is one of the first indie books I've read, and when I tell you I stayed up to 3 o'clock in the morning to finish it, I did. It was that good. Blood on the Snow is about 5 hunters in the frozen wilds of Alaska. Well, they find something that starts hunting them. And once this ancient creature spots them, the story gets kicked into high gear and survival becomes a desperate game. Will they find an escape, or will nature's relentless predator claim them as his trophies? Blood on the Snow was so good, you guys. Pick it up. You won't be disappointed. As impressed as I was with Blood on the Snow, his next book takes the cake. Not Megan's cake. This one's a little bit nastier. Think flies. It's the Swanson Fly Project. The scene is Dunley, West Virginia. I want you to picture a small, dead-end town held together by a mill that used to bring in a lot of money, but now it feels, according to Luke, more like a warden than a benefactor. When a mysterious stranger bites and infects someone, all hell breaks loose. As the parasite spreads among the people, a small group of survivors try to fight back. These killer flies are infecting everybody. And as for the resistance, survival may demand more than they can give and cost more than their lives. In the Swanson Fly Project, terror takes wing, and the fight for survival threatens to destroy what it means to be human. This book is amazing. If horror is your genre, you're going to want to pick up this book when it drops. The ebook goes live on March 21st and the paperback on March 22nd. All right, moving right along to our next author, J.B. Corvin. J.B. writes fantasy. His book, Chorus of Thieves, is an action-packed fantasy with friendship at heart. Melody and Enric are mercenaries at the tail end of a job. It's hard to make a living in a land of corrupt kings, horrifying monsters, and fallen gods. These two are seeking riches and revenge, so when an opportunity arises for a score in the dazzling city of Tarmasa, they jump at it. But according to JB, what they find in the city is worth more than gold or vindication, and it could lead to dangers beyond their wildest dreams. Now, if you love fantasy, check out Chorus of Thieves. Our next author is J. Evan Ramos. He writes fantasy and horror, and his book is called The Sacred Datura. Sam's younger brother, Jaden, went missing years ago. He was lost in a canyon full of coyotes, rattlesnakes, and bell-shaped flowers known as the Sacred Datura. And that doesn't sound very fun for Jaden, does it? Sam blames herself for not accepting who he was. Guilt fuels recklessness. She ditches class to skate and drink, and as a result, she may not graduate from high school. When her boyfriend gives her a concoction made from strange flowers he found in the canyon, she begins to have visions that her brother may still be alive and lost in a strange place. With themes of loss, forgiveness, and acceptance, The Sacred Datura is a queer contemporary fantasy that uses indigenous myths as a means to escape cruelty in the suburbs of the American Southwest. All right, sounds good. I have one more indie author to talk about today. His name is Jay Dickinson, and he wrote Grimguard, Old Wounds. Dickinson's genre is romantic dark fantasy, and here's what his book is about. Axia is a member of the Slayers, an ancient sect of warriors dedicated to hunting down and destroying the hordes of chaos. When a routine mission goes wrong, a terrible power awakens within her, leaving her with few options and fewer allies. Meanwhile, a young knight named Cassius is recruited to find her, and when he does, they form an unlikely alliance and search for conspirators that threaten to bring the Golden Kingdom to its knees. Now, where can you find Grimgard Old Wounds? Right on Amazon. I've read Jay's work, and it's mighty good. All right now, sounds good to me. Now, all of the books that I've discussed are on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and more. Indie authors work very hard to bring our readers quality content. I should know. I'm one of them. So please check these guys out when you have time. You know, reading is also a form of escapism. And in today's times, we certainly need it. Now, Amerisogyny is my show, so of course I'm going to shout out my latest book. Platarius, The Rise of Reve is book 2 of my Platarius series, and the paperback went live on March 15th. The hardcover will drop on March 23rd, and the ebook goes live on April 1st. Now, why did I split up the release dates? Piracy. Yeah, piracy. It grinds my gears that people will pirate books when all they have to do is go to the library and get them for free. There's really no excuse for it. Now, of course, I know paperback books can be pirated, but I'm hoping to get ahead of the thieves and get in a few sales. Now, moving on from the bookshop talk, our final stop is a story that I'm hoping will inspire you to advocate for the young men I'm about to talk about. A family is suspicious about the deaths of 2 of their loved ones, and they should be. 19-year-old twin brothers were found shot to death on a mountain in Georgia. These twins were black, and I want you to think of the racial history of Georgia and the not-so-distant history either. Now, I stumbled upon this story in 2021 where people were being held against their will on an onion farm. Let's call it what it was, an onion plantation. Right here in America. Hispanic men and women were forced to work as slaves. This country is far from perfect. It was never great for everyone, especially minorities. Now here we are in 2025, and according to police, one twin killed his brother and then himself. Yeah, they're calling it murder-suicide. This story reminds me of a story that I told you about in a previous episode. 21-year-old Javion McGee was a truck driver who came to North Carolina and never left. He was here for work and was found hung. That's right, police said a young black man hung himself in North Carolina. Now, you know me. Every thread of Amerisogony's episodes are connected, and these suspicious threads certainly connect. The twins were Cordeer Malik Lewis and Nazir Rahim Lewis. On Saturday, March 8th, hikers found them at the summit of Bell Mountain in Hiawassee. According to the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, both men had gunshot wounds, and they say it was a murder-suicide. But the family says, not today, Satan. According to their uncle, Raheem Bronner, the boys were very protective of each other. They loved each other, and they were inseparable. He says he couldn't imagine them hurting each other because he'd never seen them get into a fist fight before. Now, who would know them better than family? Autopsies were done on the twins, but a medical examiner ruling has not been released because further forensic testing was needed. The twins hailed from Lawrenceville, Georgia, and get this, they had planned to travel to Boston to see friends. Their plane was supposed to leave at 7 a.m. on March 7th, but the police say they never made the flight. And their bodies were found 90 miles away from their home in an area the family says they knew nothing about. Their tickets were found on them. According to the family, the twins were close and had no history of conflict. And they're not buying what the police is trying to sell, and I don't blame them. I want you to listen to how ridiculous the possibility of a murder-suicide sounds. two young men who were excited to take a trip to Boston. But all of a sudden, they go to a mountain they've never seen before to kill themselves. Nah, that didn't happen. Someone took them there and killed them. We're not stupid. Samira Bronner is their aunt, and she said, "We want answers. We want to know exactly what happened to the twins." And she's right. They should have answers, the correct answers. And the rest of us want to know too. Who killed these boys? Because they did not kill themselves. As of now, there's only been one update for this story. Police arrested 42-year-old Scott Curlin for taking pictures of the twins' death scene and sharing them with the public. Now that could mean something or not. Unfortunately, there are a lot of sick people who are obsessed with death. If you remember, they did the same thing when Kobe Bryant died. I don't know why people get a kick out of doing that. To me, it's just sick. Police have charged him with misdemeanor obstruction. Rightfully so. One thing's for certain and two things for sure. Somebody in that town knows exactly what happened to those boys. I say this all the time. If you don't know your history, you'll be doomed to repeat it. Black boys and black men have been killed in this country with no more thought to their worth than a fly landed on excrement. And the police look the other way. You know why? Because a black man's life in this country is worth less than the price of eggs. Kadir and Nazir Lewis did not kill themselves. They were young, black, and handsome, and somebody hated that. So they snuffed them out like those candles Meghan made. If you're listening to me and you have black sons and daughters, be very vigilant, because we're living in the times of Medgar Evers and Emmett Till. There's a very large target on our backs. Why do you think most of us are not out in these streets protesting? Now some are, but most aren't, because we know better. And guess what? White people have been protesting all across this country, and nobody has been killed yet. There's a reason for that, and you and I both know it. But two young black boys who were minding their own business, excited to take a trip that could have enriched their lives, are gone, and their family deserves answers. Well, now, the title of this episode is What You Do for Others. I didn't charge anyone for being featured today. I never do. I talked about all of these books because I wanted to. That's what I do. I firmly believe that if you refresh others, you'll be refreshed. I also think if you're selfish and don't go out of your way to help others, you'll reap that too. What Meghan's show did for others was groundbreaking. It brought a lot of joy to a lot of women, including myself. It inspired us to dig deep within ourselves and find our passions, what makes us happy. We challenged ourselves to be better and to produce things of beauty and fulfillment. I hope this episode inspires you to do something for others. And listen, no matter what happens around you, you matter. Never let anyone tell you your existence is irrelevant due to your circumstances. You may be poor, disabled, unemployed. I don't know your situation, but guess what? Your existence has meaning. Your existence will never be defined by corrupt and soulless people. So keep going, not just for yourselves. I'm telling you what I've told you from the very beginning of Amerisogyny. Fight for others. And that is just that. And I'm out of time. If you learned something from today's episode, feel free to follow me. By now you know where. Podbean, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Samsung, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Well, people, now that I'm back and I have time, I'll be back with more stories. But until then, I want you to keep the faith, take care of each other and yourselves.